Samaje Perine in. 3rd and goal for Burrow. He throws it to the end zone. Touchdown!
Former LSU quarterback Joe Burrow is one of the hottest names in sports right now. Burrow, the #1 pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, has the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl in only his 2nd year in the NFL. The Bengals were just 2-14 just 2 years ago. They were a punchline, an afterthought. Burrow has wowed just about everyone in his first entire season for the Bengals. After suffering a torn ACL 10 games into his rookie year, the 25-year-old has come back hungrier than ever and proven his worth on the field. Here's what NFL legends think of Joe Burrow. The Cincinnati Bengals are headed to Super Bowl 56 after upsetting the 2nd-seeded Kansas City Chiefs 27-24 in an overtime thriller in the AFC Championship game. With the win, Burrow becomes the first #1 overall pick in NFL history to go to the Super Bowl in his first 2 years. What's more, the Bengals, who were 4-11-1 in 2020, are headed to the Super Bowl for the first time in more than 3 decades as the 2nd biggest long shots in league history since 1977. But back to Burrow. The 25-year-old is 1 win away from doing something no QB has done before: win the Heisman Trophy, win a college football playoff national championship, and win a Super Bowl. Running backs Tony Dorsett and Marcus Allen and defensive back Charles Woodson are the only 3 NFL players to accomplish such a feat. Furthermore, only 2 quarterbacks, Hall of Famers Joe Namath and Joe Montana, have claimed a college football national title and a Super Bowl win, but neither won the Heisman. How cool is that? But maybe the coolest part of this whole thing is that only 2 quarterbacks have beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs: Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. Here are some thoughts about Burrow in the NFL. Colin Cowherd. On The Herd, Colin Cowherd shared his biggest takeaways from the AFC Championship and Burrow's performance on and off the field. He feels so old school, he said. The cigars and the glass and the coat make him feel like Joe Namath. The cocky edge makes him feel like Jim McMahon. The it factor makes him feel like Tom Brady. And even just statistically in the playoffs, it reads like Joe Montana. In his first 3 playoff games, his passer rating is 96. He's got a feel for the game, an old school look, and an old school podium personality. Brett Favre. In an appearance on SiriusXM NFL Radio, Favre praised Burrow for his performance against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Hall of Fame quarterback said that the 2nd-year Bengals gunslinger is in a different class, and that he didn't see the 2020 #1 overall pick achieving so much success so quickly. A guy like Joe Burrow is certainly in a different class. He's basically picking up where he left off his last year at LSU, and so is Chase, Favre said. That being said, very impressive against an extremely good football team in Kansas City. They needed to beat Kansas City, and Kansas City jumps out and looks great. I'm thinking this is over before it even started. But Joe, he got a hot streak, and the rest is history. That's why the Bengals drafted Joe, because of what he did at LSU, the Hall of Fame quarterback continued. They expected the same thing. The front office will say, we expected this right away. But I think the fact that it's happened as quick as it has, and really the collapse of the rest of the division, has got to be somewhat of a surprise to even the AFC North faithful. I didn't see it coming, but I saw success coming from Joe. I felt like he and Chase would have a good rapport in the pro game, much like they did in the college game. Dan Pitcher. Bengals quarterback coach Dan Pitcher would much prefer the face of this franchise to slide, and yet he views himself as a football player, Pitcher said. He's not in the mold of, I'm a quarterback and I'm different. He is different, and don't get me wrong, that's how we treat him, but he doesn't think of himself that way. He thinks of himself as a football player, and with that comes the toughness that requires to play this game. He has as much of it or more than anyone I've ever been around, so it's really impressive. His star is rising through legitimate injuries that sideline other quarterbacks. Pitcher says his quarterback simply compartmentalizes the pain and refuses it to let it affect his game, which doesn't sound like something you should be able to do, Pitcher says, but the really tough guys can do it, especially when you play a position like a quarterback when you have to be so sharp mentally. When you're physically hurting, it's very easy to waste mental energy thinking about how you physically are hurting. But Joe, it's like he can just put that aside. Like, yeah, something doesn't feel good right now, but that's not going to affect how I'm playing. That's mental toughness. That's physical toughness. It's just toughness, and he has it. Kurt Warner. When Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner dissects the position, it can seem like he's being too critical when, truthfully, he's watching the position through a much different lens than other ex-players. He's watching it as someone who won the MVP award twice with a surgical mind. Thus, he doesn't allow himself to get too excited over Lamar Jackson's speed, Kyle Murray's improvisation, or even Josh Allen's cartoonish arm. He believes a quarterback must hit his layups with a numbing efficiency for 1, 2, 3, 4 games in a row to win a Super Bowl. That's extremely difficult to pull off, and that's why Brady's running out of fingers for his rings. So when pressed then who he actually likes other than Brady, Warner didn't hesitate. It was Burrow. And that was back when Burrow went 2-7-1 as a rookie. Warner saw a quarterback processing a fast game at an even faster speed. Warner assured that he has only grown fonder of Burrow since. If you're an athletic guy, it doesn't mean you can't play, Warner says. You'll play a different way, but I just know most guys aren't Lamar Jackson. So you can be athletic to a degree, but you're not athletic enough to survive that way. That's the way it is for most people. So know what you're looking at. Know how to get through your reads and how to get it to the right guy at the right time. That's what Joe does. That's what I always thought separated him. The confidence to believe you can make every play, and then the knowledge to know exactly how to do that, and to do it quickly, and to get your eyes in the right spot, as opposed to guessing is 3/4 of the battle of playing in the National Football League. That's what separates him, even back to LSU from other guys. He's got that confidence and understanding that's just rare. Phil Simms. Burrow has drawn plenty of comparisons to great players over that span. Giants legend Phil Simms is the latest quarterback to praise Burrow. When you watch Joe Burrow, you know what you're watching? The modern-day Joe Montana, Simms said on Inside the NFL. He's smooth, he's athletic, he's even got a little bit better arm. Sorry, Joe, but he's doing a lot of great things. Simms is the latest to compare Burrow to Montana, but he isn't the only one. Bengals offensive line coach Frank Pollock sees similarities between the two players. Frank Pollock. The 25-year-old has caught the attention of everyone in the building, including offensive line coach Frank Pollock. He's an outstanding athlete and a really fun guy. He's really a low-key, humble guy, Pollock said. He's all ball, too. It's like there's nothing else but ball. As a coach, you kind of gravitate to those kind of guys. Pollock didn't stop there. He went on to say Burrows reminds him of his former teammate and NFL legend Joe Montana. He's an incredible, talented guy, but more importantly, he's got an aura about him. He reminds me a lot of Montana having played with that guy, his swagger, Pollock said. When he makes a statement, guys listen to everything he says, and he's deadly, man. So we got to do our part to give that guy all the time that he needs to make those great plays, which he's been doing. Pollock played for the San Francisco 49ers for 8 seasons. He spent 3 of those seasons with Montana, and he wouldn't toss around that praise lightly. Pollock has played or coached in the NFL for 23 seasons. And finally, Tom Brady. In his second year as the starting quarterback for the franchise, Joe Burrow has already become a legend to Cincinnati Bengals fans. He also gained another fan in Tampa Bay Buccaneers QB Tom Brady. Before announcing his retirement, Brady joined the Let's Go podcast and talked about an impressive start to Burrow's young career. I think Joe's got some tools that I didn't quite have when I was his age. So, super impressed by how he's kind of come into the league and went to Cincinnati, which has been a tough place to play over the years, Brady said. And, 2 years into his career, after a really tough injury last year, showed a lot of mental and physical toughness coming back and having an incredible season. Brady, a Michigan Wolverines alum, even joked about Burrow leaving Ohio State to transfer to LSU. Brady also mentioned how happy he is to see Burrow playing at such a high level, as he obviously knows the work you have to put in to make a run like the Bengals are on currently. For Burrow, this is just another confidence booster from one of the greats. Up until this season, everyone knew the talent he had, but it seemed to be a tier under Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson as one of the young star quarterbacks to usher in the new era of the position. With this postseason run, though, that has changed completely. The Bengals have their franchise cornerstone, and it seems that it can only go up from here. Now, let's hope Burrow can even have a semblance of the success Brady did in the big game.